rebuild of the favorites. We here for the latest. South side or the north side, not tuned to the greatest. Home team for the home teams. Both sides got our own rings. On the mound or the long ball, but we don't put the wrong strings. Yeah. It's that time of the year now. Wrigley or guarantee, so the whole league that we here now. New show with a new mood. Discussions and interviews. Trade rumors that might be. This is Pinwheels and Ivy. Yeah.
All right, you guys ready?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
All right. In 3, 2, 1. What's going on, everybody? It is Thursday, October 13th, and you have found the Pinwheels and Ivy Podcast. I am your host, Matt Sawaski, a.k.a. Southside Zoe, a.k.a. Father Zoe, and with me, as always, is Mr. Aldo Soto.
Guys, one day closer until Carlos Correa signs with the Cubs.
Oh, that explains the feature pick. Okay. And
well, that's your boy, the spotter.
Oh, wow. It's a twofer. It's a twofer. Oh, look at you, man.
Makes you think.
You're on top of your producer game right now. And that very handsome-looking man that looks like he just stepped off the golf course or is going to court, NASCAR Mitch.
Both of those would be problem. I don't know what I'd go to court for. I'm trying to think.
Being too damn handsome.
Yeah.
All right.
Embezzlement, some white-collar crime.
So, Mitch, I'd like to be the first to officially welcome you to Offseason Podcasting.
It's not good to be here. We should still be October Talking Sox podcasting.
I agree.
We're here nonetheless.
But we are here. It's an adventure, Mitch. It's an adventure. I can't.
I've gotten a little bit of a taste of it. It's kind of like when you're like down the stretch in like September, you're like, I've played in some big games. Like playoff baseball is a whole different animal. It's like off-season podcasting. I don't know if I'm fully prepared.
Yeah, and like this one's a little bit different though because like this is like the first year like I didn't expect to be here at this point.
Yeah,
I did, but I didn't. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So as you could notice, K-Fizz is not with us today. I think I don't know what he's doing. He's out there researching why Nico Horner is better than Tim Anderson.
People are saying, mostly Kevin.
I'm sorry, Fitz. I couldn't resist. We do have stuff to talk about though. The good thing about this offseason, podcasting wise and content wise, is it should be eventful by all means for both teams.
We got a manager search. We got some crickets saying the Cubs are going to spend.
We have the White Sox manager search. I think we should just do a segment of what's in Zoe's DMs because I get the weirdest fucking trade shit. Said, hey, I heard this rumor. The janitor that cleans up for the building next to U.S. Cellular sent me this thing. That was just like, wait, what?
There's that Reddit post, the big Reddit post.
I kind of want to go.
I'm about to pull that up.
I want to go bullet point by bullet point through that because the other thing about
pretty like I would not be surprised. Do I think it's accurate? No, but like going through that, there was nothing in there that was like, no, that's too far fetched for me to believe, which is kind of scary.
There's 21 bullet points.
The best part about that is that like the person who posted that, they edited it eventually, but apparently at the bottom of it, they kind of doxed who apparently they talked to sitting in a hospital emergency room, and they had the time to have 21 different conversations.
It rhymes with Mamusa. Well, all that and more, we are going to get into this. Let's tap this guy. As always, this show is brought to you by Sports Mockery, sportsmockery.com. Make sure you download the app, turn on push notifications so you'll be the first to know when the White Sox completely screw up this manager hiring. Sports Mockery, sportsmockery.com. And hey, Mitch writes a lot of good shit on sportsmockery.com. And although I saw you throwing some stuff up there too, you guys
back in it. As long as the Cubs try, I'll try.
Yep.
You can read all about the White Sox managerial search right there. It was a lengthy article there today. You need to know about the hacks they're interviewing.
Support your boys. Support your boys. Sports
so
Mockery,
Mitch is very optimistic about the manager search.
And then also I do want to bring this up because we'll just get out of it because Jumper seems like a Katy Perry booty hole conspiracy. Just for all those that might be new to the show, and Mitch, I don't think I ever told you a story. I actually played 16-inch softball with the guy who was behind the Katy Perry booty hole thing.
No way.
Bro, we were sitting on the bench our team was batting. We're sitting on the bench, just whatever. And me and my good buddy Matt Eastman were, just talking about what was happening with that whole situation. And I was like, yeah, it started by some account named Katy Perry's Booty Hole. And this dude starts laughing. And it's a good friend of mine's brother-in-law. And I was just like, okay. Why? I was like, yeah, it's a pretty funny name. He goes, no, dude, that's me. And I was like, fuck off, no way. And he like pulled it all up and like I was like, oh my God, dude, like national reporters are talking about. He's like, yeah, I kind of took off.
So wait, did he actually know, or did he just make that up?
So he is claiming that he knew, like someone. He's a Southside guy, and as you guys know, we all have friends of a friend or someone that works here, or there's a lot of union employees that work at U.S. Cellular Comiskey Rate Field. So, I mean, there's a good possibility he did actually hear something.
I mean, guys, he knew. He had the exact trade.
Yeah.
That's a hard one to like pull out of your ass too, yeah. Or your booty hole, I guess.
Proud of Katie. Yeah.
All I can say though is he has nothing to do with like baseball. He's not like a aspiring reporter or journalist. He's actually a really goofy guy, obviously, but like he's a good dude.
Because if I recall correctly, it was he posted it and he said, "I heard this from someone," and then I forget which of the usernames. He chimed in later, he's like, "Yeah, this is me. I heard this, and like I told this guy." So yeah.
Yep. So. Yeah, but me and the booty hole, we are tight. Yeah, but I guess before I do want to dissect this Reddit. This is prime off-season podcasting. We're gonna dissect a Reddit report, but for those of you that don't know what this is, all right. So if you're unfamiliar with Reddit, there's a lot of shit on Reddit, like. A lot of stuff on Reddit. Basically anything you need to know, you can find on Reddit. There's a lot of really cool stuff, a lot of weird shit. Like Reddit's a cool place if you know how to navigate it. In sports Reddit, there's always this like wild theories or like, but every once in a while you get stuff like this from a user, that knows a guy or had a conversation with a guy in a hospital or something. And they go to Reddit because they can hide behind a username, and it's a lot harder to find out who a person really is on Reddit. So this guy 6 days ago, so almost a week to the day, put up this thing of 21 bullet points, and here's the preference to it. All right, I'll read this quickly. All right, now that the season is basically over, it's time to uphold what I said back about a month ago here. And he hyperlinks to an old post saying that he knows information. This was the game Adam dropped the ball, and then we got walked off by the Orioles. I still fought a little on whether I should post this or PM the people who are interested directly, but basically I don't really care anymore if you do or don't believe me. Again, I truly don't care if you believe this stuff or not. There's honestly some stuff in here that I heard that I'm not sure I'm personally 100% on either, but I'm forwarding the information. These are in no order at all. I'm also terrible at formatting on Reddit, so it might look like crap. He actually did a pretty good job. So he's like really prefacing this, like, I don't know. So I guess before we get into this, all three of us have read this already. I feel like there's some stuff on here that has the possibility to be true, and there's some stuff on here that's just like laughable. Like it's
to me, a lot of this stuff is like, again, it's right. It's like it's not that serious. Like we're talking about just random shit right now.
That's the other thing too. It's a Reddit post, everybody.
Yeah,
like,
the only thing that like we all see it during the off season, like when the fake MLB reporters come out on Twitter, and then like one guy will randomly get something right, and it's like, well, now you got to believe this guy because he got this thing right. But like a lot of these things in this thread are like you can basically you can make that up in your mind and be like, yeah, that's probably true. Like a lot of these things are kind of obvious, and then there's like some things that are just like way out there that you're like, okay, you got too carried away with it, my guy.
See, I don't think any of it's really true. Like you said, like any of it, like there's some stuff in there that like you could probably
There's
you
like
can-
it's like one.
Although
bullet-
your boy,
I mean, exactly that.
but like
You can take things and be like shape a narrative and then like create the story. It's like, well, it could happen because this one little thing is true. So if you keep
Right.
building around it,
Well,
it's like,
the
all
fact
right.
to defend it with like I don't know. He had to say like I don't know if it's 100% true twice in the thing, like to
Yes.
cover your tracks. Like that's how you know it's probably not
Yeah.
true. But I will say this: all the stuff in there, like some of it is like laughable, I guess. But seeing how the White Sox operate, none of it would be like, well, that wouldn't surprise me if it did happen. Like that's what was so scary about the entire thing. Like going through it, and there's some stuff that's like, yeah, that probably didn't happen, but if it did happen, I wouldn't be that surprised.
it's funny. That's perfect. That's very well said because that's how I went through this. So I went through this and some of it I was just like, come on. And then I was like, wait a minute. Shit. That actually, that doesn't seem completely out of the realm of possibility. We'll put it
Right.
that way.
And like how Mitch said, that's the scary part.
Yes. And so we're going to go through these right now. And then after this, what I want to do is, as veterans to this game, we're going to go over some of the things that some rules, if you will, for off-season rumor Twitter. Because I see a lot of mistakes being made. So, number one, Oscar Colas blocked any signing up for a right fielder in the previous offseason. The club thought he'd be ready in 2023 and didn't want to pay anyone. Half true. I got to see. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But wait, wasn't there like a next point that kind of
so
like
number
there's something
two,
that like contradicts it or something?
well, we'll get down there. Yeah. So number two, TLR answered to nobody but Jerry. Every time there was an issue, you went straight to Jerry, and Jerry either told the player to shut up or they'll be traded or threatening to fire a staff member. That I think is 100% true.
There's no way Jerry. Doesn't it say that Jerry
Shut up.
Reinsdorf went down? There's no way that happened.
Well, no, but I think the first part of that's true. I
Yeah,
think
right.
Tony,
No, he didn't answer to anyone. Yeah, totally agree.
I think Tony probably talked to Rick Hahn like a total of 4 times all season.
Right. But
And,
like,
like, one of them was like
this is
they ran
basically
into
a
each
scene
other
out
in the
of
bathroom.
this is basically a scene out of Moneyball when like Brad Pitt's character comes down and he's in the locker room yelling at guys. Like Jerry Reinsdorf isn't doing that.
And then there's the Ken Rosenthal thing too, where he's like writing his snarky letter or whatever. It's like, yeah, like Tony, you're not taking any advice from like you don't collaborate with your coaches at all. It's like, yeah, of course, he's not answering to any. I mean, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Number 3, the Kimball trade was entirely Kenny Williams.
I don't think so.
I mean,
I do have to. It's weird because like every time I think about the White Sox front office, like the dynamic of it is like Rick Hahn is the GM, but he's like he's the forefront guy. He's the guy who speaks to the media all the time. Like you'll randomly get Kenny Williams sometimes, like after the Machado debacle. But like I think like with the cut, like because Kenny Williams, his title is higher than Rick Hahn, but then they always cover.
sorry, Aldo. This is fucking hilarious. Brian says, I made a comment on Twitter about this. Dollars to donuts. Jerry doesn't know 80% of the team's name. He probably calls Gavin Sheets yonder. I pictured it in my head. That's why it's funny.
If Kenny did in fact make that trade, though, I don't think it's that bad. Like obviously hindsight 2020 or whatever. But at the time, you're getting an all-star for a closer that you didn't want to, pay for the next couple of years. I didn't think it was like a terrible move when they made that trade. And obviously, AJ wildly underperformed, but good for Kenny if it wasn't.
And also, fun fact, no one on that trade made a playoff roster this year.
Yeah. Which is crazy.
Wild times.
Teams are very unhappy. That's how you know it's a good compromise. Everyone leaves unhappy, as Larry David said.
That was the good old fashioned lose, lose, lose.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Number 4, Rick Hahn has wanted to quit for some time and will possibly resign in the offseason. He is extremely upset that he cannot run the team the way he wants and cannot spend the way he wants. He was against the Kimbrel trade and apparently overrode somehow by Kenny when, in fact, Rick is the GM.
Yeah.
I don't see him quitting.
No.
I've said this for years, and this was before the rebuild even started. Rick Hahn has like the best job security because, number one, fans when something goes wrong, like acquisition wise, trades, whatever, people always go back to fucking Kenny Williams, And then when he fucks up, like not getting free agents, it's like, well, he's hamstrung because like Jerry Reinsdorf doesn't want to spend. He has the most excuses like for any GM out there.
Teflon Han, man.
Yeah.
Why would you leave a secure job where you make millions of dollars? I don't think that's. This is where it gets a little weird. They offered Bryce Harper $150 million for 11 years straight up with roughly $80 million in incentives. Harper was also interested in playing here, but not as much as Machado.
That I actually do kind of believe, because Harper was on a Barstool podcast talking very highly about the White Sox lineup. And he was like, everything that they have, you want in the lineup, they have roster protection, all that. So I could see that. I just think it wasn't enough money.
You know, Bryce Harper definitely said that he was interested in signing with the White Sox. Yeah. Just nothing really happened.
They played it cheap. And Machado wouldn't surprise me too. I mean, I was almost sure he was going to sign with the White Sox. All the signs were pointing to it too, until he did. Like I remember when he came out with the new glove he was going to wear, and it was black and white.
Black and white glove.
Yeah.
Oh, Mitch,
San Diego.
You should have been around with us during that off season, because every little bit of there was this camera or this phone video. It was a blurry picture of Machado, and it's like, wait, is he wearing a White Sox hat? Just every little thing that offseason was fantastic.
Good times. Well, there
was I think there was a week-long debate on Twitter on like what color the glove was.
Yep.
And like people were not joking around. They were trolling. They were being 100% serious.
Well, speaking of him, that brings number 6. The real offer to Machado was 8 years for $190 million with roughly $150 million in incentives, playing bonuses. The worst part was that Machado wanted to play here. The holdup was Machado was him trying to negotiate with the Sox to sign here. The Padres had their offer on the table for longer, and he didn't sign it to see if it would work out here.
See, I think that one's kind of.
Let's see.
But see, that one kind of gets messed up, and then that's why I also don't believe the Harper, at least the numbers. I get the story of like, Harper was obviously interested, and the White Sox just didn't offer anything good. But like we've had reporters like Rosenthal passing, like the deal was the like 250, and then the ridiculous,
right?
Like the attachment years. It's like, yeah, well, if you get this in year 8 and 9 and 10, you'll get
right.
So I think the figures are kind of. I think that guy was just trying to. I don't know.
I think that's where the Sox lost him, is because they were willing to go up to $300 million, but 150 of it was in he had to earn it.
Right.
Where the Padres were just like, we'll just give it to you. By the way, he had a home run tonight.
He's doing pretty good.
Yeah, he's not doing bad.
He's an MVP candidate, but you don't want that.
This is bullet point number 7, and it makes me laugh every time I read it. It's absolutely hilarious. Rick Hahn apparently actually does, unironically, spend hours a day reading fan emails and mail. It seems like a waste of time when he should be working on the team, but whatever. I just picture Rick Hahn sitting in his office, like a single tear running down his face as he's reading me, being like, "You fucking suck."
I mean, he has a burner. He has multiple burner accounts.
Multiple burners.
Like the way his contempt towards White Sox fans, anytime he talks about being annoyed by them, like yes, I believe this is the one.
He slipped up that one time. He slipped up that one time when he's like, "People on Twitter want us to lose. I don't get it."
Yeah, it's like, wait, how do you know? Are you checking up on Twitter?
Mm-hmm. How do you know?
He did say too. He does, like, he told Scott Merkin in a column too that he does like read fan mail. I don't know if he's spending hours a day, but like, yeah, once again, could see it.
Well, Zoe, this explains why he didn't do anything at the trade deadline. He was too busy reading tweets.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and we all know that Twitter ruined the Jock Peterson signing a couple years ago.
That was the other thing. Oh my God. I've never heard of a GM blame Twitter rumors for ruining a deal.
Oh my God. That dude that tweeted it in his bio now, it still says like, "I ruined Jock Peterson to the White Sox." Which I think that's fucking funny. Point number 8. Contrary to bullet point number 1, the team really wants to sign Conforto.
Yeah, what? That doesn't make any sense. Like if it's
that one's Cap.
Yeah, Cap. Look at us. We're young and hip.
We're young.
Yeah.
Cap.
Bullet point number 9. The click leak was actually apparently from Dallas Keuchel. The shocking part is that apparently what he said was true. The most offensive is the Cuban players constantly backing each other and constantly shit-talking others that don't perform. Dallas is apparently the one that got it the hardest. Makes sense with his comments. That's probably true.
That is probably true. All right, I'll be honest though, I don't blame the clicks either. I could see like Dallas coming in there and they're like, they're playing Yohan Moncada's music videos. Like, hey guys,
Yeah, like
turn that down.
yeah, Dallas sucks. He probably got what he deserves. Cry me a river.
I mean that one was already exposed before this,
right.
Yeah, it was totally Dallas. Liam Hendricks said he was the one that leaked it. So
number 10, TA's baby mama situation was paid off under the rug. Apparently, everybody do their fake shock face. Yeah,
what baby mama?
No way. It kind of went away.
right.
That wasn't him at the airport either.
Yeah. Bullet point number 11. They're going to offer Jose Abreu 1 year for 15 to 20 million. Don't see that happening.
Oh yeah, I don't think we have to talk. We haven't been on since that came out.
Yeah, we'll get into that after this then. This is a very interesting one. Bullet point number 12. The White Sox offer for Ohtani was Dylan Cease, Michael Kopech, Eloy Jimenez, Andrew Vaughn. The Angels asked for all that plus Colas, Montgomery, and Rowdy Reed. The Sox said no.
No, that's not true. There's no. If they had that report that said Vaughn and Cease are both on the untouchable list, and they're including both of them, and the Angels said no to that, I don't think so.
Because at the time, the White Sox were still competing to make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, they're not gutting that team for that.
Especially with two of the guys on the untouchable list.
Yeah.
On top of that, like, okay, so the White Sox have Ohtani, and then what? They're not going to re-sign Shohei Ohtani. They're not going to give that guy $400 million. So are they just going to trade him next year?
Yeah. Number 13, which Mitch, this kind of goes against what you were. The Sox view nobody, including Cease, as untouchable. So, who do you believe?
I'm going with Bob Nightingale. He has never let me down with any White Sox stuff.
That's true. As much as we count on Bob. That's basically Kenny Williams and Jordan Risenstorm telling him.
A reliable White Sox source. I will understand that.
Bob Nightingale is like the only real life burner. Like he's Jerry and Kenny's burner.
Yep.
Where are we at? Oh, here we go. Number 14. Rumblings in the front office about signing Brandon Nimmo. No shit. Like that's just common. I have eyeballs and a brain.
I saw some rumblings on Twitter about that one too.
Yeah,
I was gonna say this just seems like just a roundup of Twitter rumors.
Yeah. Number 15. Jerry has no interest in hiring Espada.
Wrong name.
Why is that?
Well, they interviewed him today, so
Espada.
Yeah.
Espada. I thought I was being.
I mean, that's the thing, though. Didn't Bob Nightingale basically say like it's like each camp has their guy?
Yep. Which is a great way to run an organization. Number 16. This team isn't going to change at all this offseason. They don't view many holes being fixable besides right field. I hope the fuck that's not true.
But once again, could very much see that being the case.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. 17. Rodon was not offered a qualifying offer by the front office because they wanted to do right by him. Rick Hahn was not happy about it.
I don't know about the Rick Hahn thing, but I also did hear this when it happened because they were trying to get a good relationship with Scott Boras because they figured that he wasn't going to sign it anyway. So they're trying to kind of Scott a favor by not extending him the qualifying offer. So that one I actually did kind of hear too when it came out.
Yep. Frank Menachino is apparently the only coach that is potentially going to be removed or fired. They looked at McEwing in Boston and probably aren't replacing them. They are considering bringing up the AAA hitting coach.
Again?
Be
Frank Menachino is the AAA hitting coach.
Yeah. The training staff is going to be entirely canned again. This time, everyone means everyone.
I think out of all the bullet points that we've read so far, this is the one that, as a White Sox fan, you want to happen.
Well, yeah. And then, no, wait a minute. You haven't heard number 20 yet.
Well, out of so far.
Jerry has reached out to Herm trying to get him to unretire.
The Sox need to stop trying to get guys who are retired to unretire.
And like everyone says, Herm Schneider was great at his job. I'm not saying he was bad, but I always found it hilarious as a kid that like there'd be an injury and then they're like, who is this like out of shape guy like running on the field? It's like, oh, that's our trainer. It's like that guy's the trainer.
It's kind of. I always feel
by the time he gets to left field, it's like Jesus.
I just like thought about this. Like the two most known guys are the White Sox in the last 20 years. It's Herm Schneider and then the Sod father.
Pretty much.
Like that's White Sox baseball.
That's so sad. And then last but not least, they have been talking with Ben Nettie since the All-Star break to try to get him to continue to cast Sox games.
I didn't realize that him and Steve Stone are like technically free agents right now.
Yep.
Benetti, I think, is gone. He's a hot commodity out there, and he's got so many different jobs as it is. He just signed that new deal with Fox. Like that man is a workaholic. I don't know how he does it with his schedule to begin with. And next year, doing the full major league schedule plus all the national games he does for the MLB, and then all the college football games he does, and it's going to be bull. I don't know. I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, so that is that list. Is more than anything, I just find it entertaining. Like it was like something like fun to talk about and like get you to think about different scenarios and stuff like that. But I don't know. I thought it'd be cool to share it on here because I know not everybody listening to this goes on Reddit or anything like that. So,
and you're better for it if you are one of those people that's not wasting your time.
You can get into some deep rabbit holes on there. And then I guess in real world news, we have started the process now where the White Sox are interviewing people. Espada is one of them. They met with him actually on Wednesday. He was meeting with, I think, the White Sox and the Marlins.
Yeah. Marlins are going to get him.
Probably.
With him.
Okay with, like, I understand, like, everybody's like, oh, let's go get him. This is the guy, this is the guy, this guy. No one has yet to tell me, like, why.
Especially with him, like he's been like kind of a hot commodity for a while because he's had interviews in each of the past couple seasons. The Cubs interviewed him too. Isn't getting any of these jobs, which is concerning. And I know Rick Hahn was talking about how they wanted a guy with experience too. Doesn't have any managerial experience. So I'm not saying he's going to be bad, but like he doesn't check the experience box, and he's had a lot of opportunities and no one's hired him yet. So
I can't remember from the last time from when Tony La Russa was hired. Did they get to interview a spotter or no? Or did that just like happen right away?
They said they were interviewing people, and then all of a sudden it was like, we hired Tony.
Oh, okay.
So that was definitely like, what's coming in and just being like, yeah, you can stop all that shit. I'm hiring my guy.
Last year he interviewed with the Mets, who obviously didn't hire him, and then the Athletics as well.
But apparently I've read like big analytical guy. Like that's a big reason why people like him.
I do like that. Manny Machado just tied the game again.
He also, from Puerto Rico, he'll help with the Latin clique there, I guess, is a
younger guy, than at least Tony La Russa.
He's under 60.
And that's the thing too, because like between the 2 points Hahn had in his end of season press conference, his experience was one of the qualification, and a guy that like can relate to today's players and understands today's game, which he definitely checks that box. So it's kind of a matter of what's more important to you if you're going to hire him. Is it experience or a guy that understands today's game? So
I guess along that same line, the other name that was brought up was Pedro Grifoyle. We'll go with that pronunciation.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, he's the bench coach for the Royals. He is 52 years old. I mean, I don't really know much about him either, to be honest with you. He was drafted by the Twins in the 6th round in '91. He played in the minor leagues for the Twins and the Mets, and he worked for the Mariners as the director of minor league operations. That's about, I mean,
that's one of those, and I'd never heard of him either. It kind of came out of left field, but I'm fine with covering all your bases. Well, I mean, can't hurt to give the guy an interview.
Here's the thing. I can't get mad about that because this is kind of what I wanted.
Yeah.
I wanted a younger guy that like is not the same name over and over and over again. And then I guess to that line, the other name that's been brought up is Ron Washington.
That won't be a disaster. That would almost feel like a slightly lateral move because he's 70. We already saw what the 162 game season, like that grind does to someone over 70 with Tony La Russa. That's why we lost our last manager. It's basically Tony La Russa with less experience. Now, the only difference is he's been in the game. He obviously hasn't had a 10-year layoff, but
I wanted to say this because I keep getting into these discussions about Ron Washington on Twitter, and I wanted to use this to like kind of get my reasoning here. I want Ron Washington.
Oh, wow.
I would love for Ron Washington to be the bench coach for the 2023 Chicago White Sox. Now, he's 70 years old. I don't want him running the show. Bench coaches don't have to be, do the media thing after the games. They don't have to, you know what I mean? He could just sit there and do his job. And one thing that's followed Ron Washington around his entire career is he stresses on defense and basically hustle, discipline. Two things that the White Sox majorly lacked this season. And I think Ron Washington also brings in a certain level of respect, like the same level of respect of a Tony La Russa, which a lot of these players all said, like, we have crazy amount of respect for Tony La Russa. It's just, but if you have Ron doing that stuff and then you get a younger guy running the show who can be more into the analytics side of things and, relate to these players a little bit more eye to eye on things like that, I think that's the perfect combination. And so all that being said, it will never happen.
Yeah. I mean, also too with him, that just got me thinking. He helped turn Dansby Swanson. I mean, he was already a good defender, but he helped make like an elite defender. Like Dansby come out and credited him. Like, I was working with Washington. He helped made me basically the best defender in the game. Yeah, him working with Tim Anderson. Oh God, we're not even having a debate who's a better shortstop. Once we get the defense figured out with
Washington. That on purpose because you saw Fids join. Do not get him fucking started, Mitch. I swear to God, I'll mute both of you.
I
don't see it.
Some of the other names that have been brought up. One thing that we need to say, Spruce Bruce, old man Bruce. He's not coming out of fucking retirement for this. Stop saying his name. Bruce Bochy's not going to manage the White Sox.
I didn't think so, but Bob had him in the list.
He's not coming.
No, I'm saying there's a chance.
Either Jerry Reinsdorf or Kenny Williams wants Bruce Bochy.
It's probably Jerry. It's guys. These are guys like Jerry knows.
But look, I mean,
Jerry hasn't watched baseball in 30 years, so it's just going off of names that he knows.
I mean, the fact that though, like I said, I wouldn't be but he was the favorite, and a lot of these Vegas sites and these Vegas people, they don't, they make money for a reason. They know, and Bob had him in the report. So if there's smoke, there's fire. I think there's a chance. And if you listen to his quotes from back from 2021, every time he's asked about it, he's like, "Well, never say never." So.
Jerry, hire Jim Leland for God's sakes. What?
Yeah.
Jerry,
well,
what
wasn't the other guy in the list?
Earl Weaver. What?
Yes, the former Cardinals coach.
Schultz.
I don't know how he'd mesh with this team, but the man is a good manager, dude. I think he got a raw deal in St. Louis.
Totally.
That guy
never had a losing record. Manager of the year.
Not want Mike Schultz.
All right.
I know they won, they were successful, but there is a reason that he just got canned, despite.
That's fair. And I mean,
like in a good
I use that logic a lot, so that's fair.
That guy gives me what's the guy that used to be with the like Ned Yost vibes. It's like hey, he eventually won, but it wasn't really like because of him.
Yeah, and that would be the concern is connecting with the roster because, like you said, there's a reason he got canned, but. I'd like to find out what it was because 17-game win streak and they won every year he was there.
Look at the comparable age, by the way, of the names that are being thrown out there, by the way. Like, what's the average age of the three that Bob threw out there? I mean, what, he threw out Madden, Bochy?
Washington, 55, I believe, with, how old was Bochy's 67, Washington 70.
And then the other one that we didn't bring up yet is apparently Joe Madden's getting an interview.
Yeah, so
think
about that.
I saw that as a random.
I thought he was open to manage anywhere. I didn't see he was getting an interview. He was just like
a random Twitter account.
Like a party with those guys, though. You show up, Ron Washington brings the blow. Madden brings the vino.
It's that guy. It's that dude that Mike Rodriguez. That he's one of those guys. He's batting like 250 on rumors.
That's not terrible.
He's saying that.
By the way, Mike Schultz, he's 54.
He's saying Joe Madden's getting an interview from the Sox and the Marlins. So apparently the Sox and the Marlins are just teaming up to interview everybody.
And again,
How do you guys feel about Joe Madden? We've talked about him before.
I'm good.
but-
I do not.
That's a hard pass for me.
I'm good on that, dude.
It's kind of a hipster doofus.
But he's been successful in the past, and I feel like if he gets teams to buy into his shit, it works really well.
His act wears thin, though. It did in Tampa. It did in Chicago. I mean, it didn't even last in.
You just want him for 1 year. You just need to win once, and then it's all worth it.
The thing about Madden too, and that was the thing we were talking about, that story that came out in SI with the interview with him talking about how things were run in Anaheim and why he was fired in Anaheim, which was you got a general manager calling down to the dugout and demanding lineup changes mid-game in-game strategy, and you got a general manager and an assistant general manager that actually put their own locker in the coach's locker room to dress and change out before games. That's just weird shit. But with Madden, he actually points it out. And again, the White Sox probably don't fall into this category because they're not an analytics-based really franchise. But in an analytics-based franchise, a guy like Joe Madden's one job is people. That's it. People. It's not about making, in-game decisions are made through the analytics department. I mean, the article was pretty clear. Like a majority of the decisions that are made in-game and before games with lineups and whatnot, he was told these are the guys that we've talked about this on the show. It probably happened with La Russa too. You're told before a game, you have these 5 relievers today. These are the only ones you can use. Sorry, the other guys are shut down. Analytics department says this is their day. They've got to sit, and he's got to play hot potato with 5 arms and kind of figure it out. Guys like Madden know that their job is to deal with both the players' personalities and all the dynamics of that, as well as obviously with the media. And I think with Madden, I don't think Madden lost the locker room as much as he lost the media. And I think that that's the problem is if you lose the media in Chicago, those they're going to come for you. And so with Madden, he didn't lose the media. I mean, again, he actually was like, basically it was like fire one of my coaches or fire me is basically the ultimatum that he gave. And it was just a weird situation. But a guy like Madden, his job is not come out here and write lineups and do all his job is to keep the wheels on the truck at all times. And can he do that with this locker room? I'm not entirely sure, but I can tell you what, there are dudes that will go to hell and back in a gasoline suit for Joe Madden for the rest of their life. And there's heat to that. There's a reason why. And he's a good guy that really does play with it, but it can wear thin after the novelty wears off and the magicians are gone, the petting zoo's finished, and costume days have ended. What are you still going to be doing there to keep these players going? And I think that's where he struggled. I think everything just got to be, it hit so fast that everything else at that point was so much more difficult to be original and innovative because he basically used everything in every trick in the book, and he was out of gimmicks. And at that point,
well, he didn't get a chance to do his last one because I just remembered how the day he got fired is when he got his
mohawk. Yep, he had mohawk.
But he got fired before he could even see the team.
He could have saved the season with a mohawk. I mean,
just so you guys know, future Chicago Cubs shortstop Trey Turner just hit another home run.
Dude, that guy. You talked about Dansby Swanson adding a couple $100,000 to his contract. Trey Turner right now is like, give me the Correa money.
He would be a great Cubs second baseman.
He's gonna get paid. He can play second base, which that works out better than. But anyways, I feel like there was one other name that I'm trying to keep up with the comments, which I'm loving that the comment section's flying right now. It's awesome, guys. Willie Harris is another name. I got no problem with Willie Harris. I'm over the nepism. Like, I don't want anybody in the White Sox organization.
It's it's such bad timing with Willie Harris.
Yeah, it really. If Willie Harris is your guy, Willie Harris should have been hired 2 seasons ago.
Yeah. And I think he was like coach. I think he was with the Reds before. I think that's where he came from to join the Cubs. But yeah, this is just like bad. No, we did the La Russa thing. We're sick and tired of just everything.
I'd actually be okay
related.
with this, Brian. He said washing Willie in the dugout. I'd be
That sounds like a morning talk show on the radio drive.
Washing Willie. Washing Willie. Yeah. Sell the shirts. Print the shirts.
W&W. Boom.
And then the other name that keeps coming up is Carlos Beltran. I don't think Carlos Beltran's coming to the White Sox, guys.
I don't either, but I would not hate that one.
I wouldn't mind it. I know he comes with a lot of baggage.
So did Tony.
With the whole cheating and all that shit. Well, I mean, Tony had the DUIs. Washington has, he's
being innovative and trying to win. That's what we need here is winners. I like if you're not cheating, you're not trying hard enough. That's what Carlos Beltran represents.
And so that's the stuff going on with the managerial stuff.
Is there
Not
anyone?
Not
Is
even
there
a
anyone?
mention of Ryan Christensen. That's making me so sad that his name hasn't come up in any.
I'm holding strong for it.
Any.
Fitz. I'm still.
I know.
I trust your judgment. So I've been.
Maybe he's not. Maybe he does have a bad rep under the current, I guess. But
I think,
it's hard for me to see that guy's not getting at least a shot to like sit down with somebody and like.
Oh, that's the
Over
other
what
thing I
makes
wanted
him
to bring up. Yumper messaged me on the side. Apparently there was what's his name? Hold on.
He is not a Vegas boy.
He was on 670 the score this morning.
John Heyman.
No, David Sampson.
Ah.
And he basically just said he went into depth about the Sox dysfunction, and he plain out said Ozzy should not be the manager anymore, and he said that Ozzy damn well knows why.
Oh. And maybe that'll shut him up.
David Sampson, former GM of the Marlins.
I was literally about to ask. I think I know the answer, but who is the one guy that you would be just what the fuck if they hired as manager?
Yep.
Him.
I think it's Ozzy.
Yeah,
But
Samson's
he knows
got
this
receipts.
team better
Samson's
than-
got receipts. That's the thing.
Yeah, I just like I said on
I think that's been a known thing because
Sean and Mine in the morning. He asked me, he's like, "What do you think about Ozzy?" I go, "I don't think anything because I just don't think it ever happened."
that's a known thing though. Because I
Such a
think
terrible decision.
White Sox beat reporters, they've like said in the past, like I think Joe Cowley said it a lot, is like as long as Jerry Reinsdorf is the owner and Kenny Williams is still in the front office, Ozzy is never going to be the manager again.
It's not going to happen. I don't want to spend time talking about something that I really just don't think will ever happen.
And again, just like we've said it with players, like, oh, why hasn't this player been signed? Like there has to be a reason, right? Like why hasn't Ozzy been interviewed by like anyone in the past decade?
By any of the other,
Yeah, by
Padres.
anyone.
Didn't he go on with the Padres?
Did he?
oh yeah, he got an interview.
He got an interview with the Padres
Okay.
before.
Didn't get the gig. Got the interview though.
But yeah, he hasn't been close to being hired by anyone.
Hey, you know what? I think he's good with this TV gig. I like him on the pre and post game show. He's got a good thing
Yeah,
going.
I like that
If
too.
it's not broke, don't fix.
I like that too. I agree.
So, Call to the Pen did a story about 8 months ago. Noah Yingling, I believe his name is. And he did the top 100 coaches most likely to become Major League Baseball managers. So he went by divisions, actually, which is pretty cool. So he had like Tim Costens, who's the field coordinator and catching coach for the Orioles. He's been Brandon Hyde's bench coach. So he's been helping out in a kind of a new emerging franchise right now and showing some heat a little bit. Freddie Gonzalez, who's the bench coach for the Orioles.
I think that for a while.
Tony Mansolino, who's 39. He's been a minor league coach for the Indians organization since 2011 through 2020. He was a head coach. It looks like a single A, high A, double A, and then triple A in 2019. So he's kind of gone up and up and up.
Who's always had a good farm system? Who's
Indians?
always Guardians. Who's always had stud pitchers come up? Like, look at their team this year that got them to the playoffs. It's all homegrown young dudes.
Will Venable. He was actually the Cubs' first base coach in 2018, third base coach in 2020. Been with the Red Sox since 2021. Ramon Vasquez, who's been the first base coach. These are some interesting names that I've never even thought of. But some of these names, they're like, there's like no, you're not going to hire a third base coach that has like no managerial experience. So that's some of these are out the door. But Matt Quatraro, who's supposed to be getting a lot of interviews, or had a lot of interviews this past offseason, Mets, A's. He's 48 years old. He's the bench coach for the Tampa Bay Rays under Kevin Cash. He's been with Tampa Bay twice. He was a minor league player for them from 96 to 22. And then he started coaching with them from 03 to 13. And then went to Cleveland as their assistant hitting coach at the major league level for a couple of years, and then came back a couple of years later. So that's an interesting one.
We should address this too, though. It's kind of like Willie Harris. If they were going to do AJ Przinsky, they would have did it 2 years ago.
Just not now.
Not now.
Like
Not
you have
ever.
a team that the expectation is to win. And
I
like
think
win
doesn't show up
now.
prepared for a broadcast, let alone prepared for a managerial game.
Like win big.
By no means am I advocating for him to be the manager now, but I don't think AJ would make a bad manager. Just like Zoe said, I think it was last week. They used their oopsie. They get no more experimental managers. You gotta find the guy this time
That has some kind of experience, bench coach, anything. Just
Mhm.
you can't take a guy who's never done it out of the TV booth and be like, "All right, here's the keys."
This is not the time to cut someone's teeth.
Yeah,
This is
Because
time to
like
have
I was
somebody that is not green.
because like even when David Ross was hired, like he didn't have like he wasn't a bench coach or anything, but like he was like doing stuff every year, or like for the previous 2 years with the Cubs, where he was like the assistant to whatever, and like he was doing everyday work during spring training throughout the year. He was doing the scouting reports.
There's a lot
Like,
of pressure with that gig too.
Yeah,
It's not like he was expected to win right away when he got handed the keys.
that's true. And like, no, that's the other factor. It's like, yeah, no, like if you need a guy who has some experience, like because you are in a position where you have to win, or like, I mean, the GM isn't getting fired anytime soon, so you're going to be on the hot seat immediately.
Right.
And you're following up a toxic situation. There needs to be, it needs to be someone with experience, because they have to handle fixing the boat that's broken, basically, so it doesn't sink again when you put it back in the water. And a lot of holes, and there's a lot of hurt feelings, and there's a lot of toxicity and a lot of disappointment. And whoever they bring in is going to have to be someone that can verbalize to the White Sox fans exactly what the plan is. And Ray, that is absolutely the single worst idea in all of baseball. You might as well interview the dead corpse of Edgar Allan Poe. That would be a better choice than Joe Girardi's dumbass.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I don't understand people's like, and I'm not saying this is you, Ray. I know you're just asking a question. You're just kind of getting caught in the fire here. People's thing. Joe Girardi absolutely sucked as the Phillies manager this year. He's
always sucked as a manager, other than the year that they hit 290 as a team and hit like 400 homers as a squad. He won with a rolled ball out to.
The White Sox don't have A-Rod, Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera. Like, they don't have that team that he took the Yankees to the World Series with.
The other thing with Joe Girardi is that I think he literally won Manager of the Year when he was with the Marlins. And like the team, like they had no talent. I think they barely finished like, it's not like they were even a playoff team. I think they just finished with like 82 wins or something that one year. But like he literally got fired because like there was like some problem with him and like the front office. Like this isn't even a thing of like, oh, he failed with the Phillies, or like what did he actually do with the Yankees? Like this guy's had like issues since he first became a manager.
Yeah, I'm very.
Wait till the first time that he sends down Garrett Crochet, because Garrett has options, just to send a message to somebody else in the locker room, which is what he used to do in New York. He would send players with options down to send a message to guys without options as punishment.
Yeah,
which is a strange way to treat your arms, especially young prospects.
I don't want that happening whatsoever.
That'd be a great question to ask friend of the show, Jason Shreve, when he comes on again this offseason, because he'll tell you some fun stuff.
No,
he wasn't invited to the after party, I guess we'll put it that way.
But I still want to beat the drum, though. I want them to make this move. If they can't do it before the end of the World Series, fine. But like as soon as that last out of the World Series happens, I want this done. Like,
do you guys trust the process of how? Like, do you think it's going to be a collective talk, or it's a whoever talks the loudest is going to win out? Like what?
I know. I hate the visualization of Kenny, Rick, Jerry, and some of the other, like all like pleading their case for their guy, and there just not being any comment. You know what I mean? Like it's not. It
has to be so frustrating because again, like the whole thing with with Rick Hahn being like the front guy to the media, but then you have Kenny Williams in the background too, who's technically his boss, and then you still have Jerry Reinsdorf, who will randomly stick his nose into it to hire his guy if he wants. Like there's never like a clear like no, I am leading this search, so it's just kind of like it's all messy.
It's their communication. Their communication sucks. Just like, I mean, they've had issues with this. Again, we talked about like the mom and pop organization and the optics and their PR department kind of being shitty because they can't even spell their own players' names right on the scoreboard. But you also got to take into consideration what White Sox fans are looking for. White Sox fans, based on our experience, at least my experience observing White Sox fans over the last couple of years, especially with Tony La Russa, White Sox fans want somebody that's going to run around, jump up and down, do some jumping jacks, scream and yell, and be demonstrative and go through some of these performative acts to show that they care. They want to see someone showing some. They're passionate. They want to see the passion, right? They want to see someone that's again, high fives and the crowd are dancing in the locker room, club dub, and like they want to see that kind of stuff with a manager. So you're going to have to think about that kind of taste, because you bring in someone that's quiet and calm and collective and cool as ice under pressure. That's not going to really flow with a lot of White Sox fans, because That guy's not going to go out there and, do a cheerleading routine for you. He's going to sit in the dugout and he's going to do his job. So you really got to take into consideration, can you get someone that's demonstrative, performative, but at the same time is not doing it and overshadowing like a Javi Baez where the hijinks overshadow the actual poor performance, because people might actually say, oh, he's doing a fine job, but they might not be doing a fine job, but they think he's doing great because of all the passion around. It kind of masks a lot of the failure. So you want someone that can do that when it needs to be done, but at the same time can also communicate the plan. And I think that's probably the biggest problem the White Sox fans have had it too, is there's been poor communication with the plan. No one's buying the 1-2 count intentional walk stuff. That stuff's just, it doesn't fly with, they don't need someone that's trying to go outside of the box. They need someone that's going to play 1-2-3 paint by numbers baseball with a franchise and a roster that can do it without having to be cute and, run out there and try and overmanage or get smart, be too smart for yourself. So I think that's a big part of it. Yeah. The communication breakdown's horrible.
No, that was a reference.
Yeah, I mean, no, I agree. But at the end of the day, as long as they're winning, that's who I'll get behind. It's a manager. If they're playing hard for them and they're winning games, that's all I want. By the way, Yumper brought up Freddie Gonzalez again. I've been saying this for weeks. I think that makes so much sense. I'm surprised we haven't heard his name in an interview. I mean, he's bench coach with the Orioles, who are kind of like where we want, like where the Sox were a couple years ago. Young, hungry team that overachieved. He has experience as a manager before, which, by the way, he had a winning record there. Bilingual as well. I mean, I don't know what's not to like about Freddie Gonzalez. So, like, why is he not being brought up? I'm surprised we haven't heard his name brought up at all. Like any of these managerial jobs from what I've heard.
What about DeMarlo Hale?
I don't know.
Bench coach in Cleveland. He's been the longtime bench coach for Francona and Brad Mills.
I'm all ears then.
Unfortunately,
he was with Francona from 06 to 11.
Unfortunately, I think we already know the list.
You don't think there's more to it?
I don't know.
He's from Bucky Dent's baseball school. I love it.
I was going to say, remember the last time this happened with Jerry's other team this past decade? Because remember the front but this happened. It was the inverse. It was the front office who basically pushed out Thibodeau, and then they went to go get their guy Fred Hoiberg, and that blew up in their face. So what did happen after that? The front office stayed there. They didn't get fired. They didn't get replaced, and then they were the ones who were in charge of the new coaching hire. And that was, I think we saw his name earlier. It was Jim Boylan. Like the White Sox could very much be on that same page. Like, well, yeah, Jerry Reinsdorf wanted his guy. It blew up in their face, but you still have all the same people there picking out the next guy. And the next guy, it could get worse. Hey, the White Sox are still winning. They still won the division in 2021, and then just massively disappointed in 2022.
So,
but it could get worse.
I'm very
doesn't
confused.
automatically mean better.
So the Braves Phillies are in, I believe, the 8th inning. Why is Thor pitching for the Phillies? Is this like the new big thing in the playoffs this year? It's just
go early.
We're just throwing starters.
That with the Mariners yesterday. I knew that was it.
I felt so bad for the Mariners.
Robbie. But so, question for you, I guess more so Zoe, since fellow White Sox fan here. If you were a White Sox fan, or I guess now you're rooting for the Mariners, would you rather have your team lose in heartbreaking fashion to the Astros like it happened yesterday, or the White Sox last year where you're just getting steamrolled and the game's over by the third inning?
Heartbreaking fashion.
Take the heartbreak?
Yeah, because
are you,
bro?
No.
It was no.
I want to sulk for like hours, knowing that I just want to bitch.
But that's what it was like. I don't know, like when the Sox were down like 12-0 after the third to the Astros. It's just not. It's like I'd rather have.
But imagine if you were winning and then Liam Hendricks just gives up a walk-off.
Well, in that case, it wouldn't have been Liam Hendricks. It would have been like, I don't know, like Giolito came in or something.
That would have been like, yeah,
it would have been. Yeah.
I mean, it would have sucked for a minute, but at least if they're getting fucking boat raced, you have to sit through that for like 2-3 hours and just like get madder.
I mean, Kevin, what was worse, 2003 NLCS or 2015 NLCS for the Cubs?
Well, 03.
Exactly. Why? Because it was the heartbreak. Yeah, I don't want the heartbreak. I don't want to feel like absolute dog shit right at the end.
I think you feel like dog shit either way, but like.
But if you feel like dog shit at the end, you feel like dog shit for the next like 4 months.
Yes. Because you're like, wait, we were that close.
Yeah, that hurts. I mean, I still have the VHS from the 03 Game 6 in my closet. I have the VHS. I can't bring myself to burn that thing. because it's
or,
like
or do you just want to lose? Like, you know what? I'm going to take option number 3. You just got beat by their team. You lose 5-3, like the Padres did, game 1.
That's fine.
They're just better.
I'll take that all day. Like if they're gonna lose, that's how I want it to go down.
They were just better.
Like, I didn't really think we were in it, but we covered the spread there at the end. So props to us.
And like, yeah, I mean, I guess Jim Thome has been mentioned.
Has he?
I'm seeing a couple other. There's Schilt. Schilt just popped up on my little thing. Matt Williams just popped up again. Bochy's, there he is. Hensley Mullins? Who the? How about Alyssa? Get really crazy. Alyssa Nakin, the first and only female coach to ever be on a major league coaching staff. Go for it, Jerry.
Yankees, right?
Go for it, Jerry. Giants.
Giants. Oh, no, I
Giants.
was thinking in the minor leagues, the Yankees have a minor league coordinator.
Why not? Pull it. Go for it. Change the game. Hashtag change the game.
Yeah, it would
Break
fit.
that glass ceiling, Jerry. Let's go.
It would fit.
I'm sure that would go over really well.
Oh yeah, nobody would. They'll be fine with it. Be like, cheers.
I mean, hey, one team is going to be the first.
Again, it's about
Why not?
people skills.
She can come out and start the season like 30-0, and people would still be second guessing this shit.
Yeah, they would. Which is ironic again because people think that managers make that many decisions when in the end we know now that's the analytics department making most of these big decisions. So
right.
About people.
Sandy Alomar.
What about college coaches? Are there any college coaches? I know that what's his name at Arizona State got a little heat. I forgot his name.
Looking for work. Why don't we just interview him too?
Switch sports, yeah.
Sandy Alomar is a name that I feel like
Sandy Alomar
had like a lot of steam early, and then like I haven't heard his name since.
Yeah,
That's another White Sox connection, though.
I know, I'm done with that shit.
It's
just doesn't
unfortunate that
work.
they had to hire Tony La Russa because now anyone who's ever talked about the White Sox is like an automatic,
Right.
which sucks for them because they could be good candidates, but
Yeah, like 3 years ago, they'd be like, "Hey, I got a connection with the White Sox. It's a lock now. If I get an interview, good chance." And now all of a sudden, it's like, shit.
like Zoe, you said it earlier, like back after 2020 in that offseason, if Willie Harris like interviewed, like Sox fans would be like, "Fuck yeah, like get Willie Harris, yes."
Yes.
But now it's like, another Sox guy.
Yeah. Another Sox guy that's getting openly endorsed by Marcus Stroman.
Why is that a bad thing?
Because he's
I don't
on
like
the Cubs, and I'll take Marcus Stroman on the team, but I won't like the guy.
Marcus Stroman's a great guy.
Is he?
What's
You were
wrong with
talking about how he wanted to go to San Francisco right after
he did have that tweet. I do remember now.
Yeah.
Or he liked a tweet.
I mean, it is what it is. But I guess, although you did bring it up earlier, and we haven't talked about it yet, guys, I don't think Jose Abreu's coming back.
Again, from Jerry's guy, Bob. When Bob Nightingale says something about the White Sox,
Yeah.
you gotta believe it.
Hopefully, something like random changes, or
Like
something.
I mean, Jose Abreu knew it. The way he was talking at the end of the season, he
Totally.
knew it.
It's sad they didn't even get to give him a good send off either. That's what really pisses me off. If it
Yeah,
is,
that was so weird. I don't get, and like it was like him because he was like, I
right.
I want to watch the game from the dugout, take it all in. I don't want a last curtain call or a standing ovation for an at bat. I just want to be in the dugout thinking about leaving.
To play every day. All of a sudden, he wants to like take it all in from the dugout.
Yeah, it's like what?
All signs are pointing to
Was that just like a middle finger to like? I don't even know what that was weird.
Yeah. I just don't like any. It just sucks, man. I mean, I've literally watched his entire career. Like,
Do you know a
the
tweet that I
struggle
saw
to get
that
out
has
of
to
Cuba, like everything is just like.
Do you know what's even more infuriating? If this guy finishes out his contract, Larry Garcia will be a White Sox longer than Jose Abreu.
Yeah, isn't he already the longest tenured White
I
Sox?
think he might be. Yeah. So.
Yeah, he is. He's been there since
The
2013.
thing.
Okay, there
So obviously, there's a million reasons why this sucks. Okay, but I think also the way that it's been handled, as you guys just mentioned, is going to put a lot of unfair pressure on Andrew Vaughn. And I think Andrew Vaughn is a very, very good baseball player, and I think he's going to show that to us in a more consistent manner. But I'm fearful that game 1 of 162 next year, Andrew Vaughn's the starting first baseman. He goes 1 for 4 or 0 for 4, and all of a sudden the sky's falling right away.
But like, wasn't the point of drafting him like eventually he was going to take over for Abreu.
Yeah,
like this was the point.
Abreu was slowing down in production or whatever, and like Vaughn got like groomed into the spot. This is more like, wow, we got too many first basemen. Baseball franchise is leaving. It's all yours, Andrew.
Bad roster construction.
Yep. But well, this goes to what I've said at the beginning of the show. Apparently, only Cease and who was the other name, Mitch?
Vaughn.
Cease and Vaughn are the only two that are untouchable, but I don't see him trading Robert, Rowboat.
He's going to be robering over there to San Francisco.
I don't see that happening.
Robert.
Yeah.
What do you
guys? I'll be right back.
Mm-hmm.
With this too, and Joe, while you're stepping away, I'll spare you the pain.
Oh, that bastard
of this discussion. But Aldo and I've talked about it, and the minute that Bob Nightingale said the White Sox didn't plan on bringing back or whatever Abreu, immediately I got multiple texts. One of which was a friend of the show, Justin Roman. One was my dad, and then one was my cousin, who's a Sox fan actually. And all three, their first response was, are the Cubs going to go after Abreu for like a short-term 2-year deal? And if that's not out of the question with that. We talked about it before. A 2-year deal, first year regular, front-loaded because he's in his prime. He's in his spot to really produce. Second-year team option. If it's working out, great. If not, they can let him move back. And that would also allow him to possibly, show that he's worth more than he is again, because he's like the ageless wonder. Like every time you doubt him, he just comes back and does it again and again and again. He's like it's like a sunrise you think is never going to come, and then there it is every morning. But
Mitch, what would hurt more? I mean, I don't think we've had this conversation of like your outward feelings towards Cubs or the Cubs or Cubs fans, whatever. But what would hurt more? See him on the Cubs or somewhere in the division?
Oof.
If he goes to Cleveland,
Whole Foods on occasion, you'd see him at the Whole Foods.
Probably just
like the Tigers.
The pettiness in me would probably be the Cubs. Oh. I think that would hurt more. Mm-hmm. Seeing him make those disgusting folks on the north side happy with all the home runs he hits. And that ugly blue uniform.
And we know how much he loves to hit at Wrigley Field.
Either. Like that's the thing. Wherever he goes, I'm gonna root for him. Like Ugh.
And honestly, anywhere that he goes that could hurt the White Sox in the postseason or their chances of winning a World Series would hurt equally bad, I think, no matter where he went. Because if he's the guy that almost
in the division and he's like raking for the Indians and like Guardians, and like it would just be like, and don't get me wrong, I would be like, I wouldn't want that, but be like, they should have kept him, like I've been saying.
But like, what if
at
Astros?
that point you can still be like really mad at at Rick Hahn or the White Sox in general.
Like
by the way, I am fully aware
of the Astros. Like that would hurt because he would be like the guy that hits a game-winning double or
he's
something.
He's like away though.
He's out of sight, out of mind until he kicks our ass in the playoffs. If we even get there.
Dreams end your season.
I gotta hear about him like every day. I turn on the radio, I see the paper, like Jose wins another one.
Jose Abreu on fire, leading the Cubs.
That makes a lot of sense, though, for the Cubs. If I'm the Cubs, I would absolutely do that. You're going out to spend money, and because it wouldn't be that expensive, relatively speaking, for a very good player. Like,
and it's an optic shot across the bow to reestablish a rivalry that's kind of gone cold for the last couple of years with the Cubs being shitty.
By the way, I am fully aware that us bringing up Jose Abreu to the Cubs, that is a legitimate thing because like the Cubs need a DH first base right-handed hitter.
It makes too much sense. Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense. And yes, there is a slight troll factor, just rile up White Sox fans. And I am fully aware that this is going to come around full circle, and that Wilson Contreras is going to sign with the Cardinals and kill the Cubs for the next 5 years. I'm fully aware of that, but I have to enjoy whatever.
Abreu from Will. If that's what you're losing and that's what you're gaining, you're getting an upgrade with Jose Abreu. Jose Abreu also hits very well in Wrigley Field. Historically dominated those crosstown classics.
I am ready for Jose Abreu to slug 600 for 80 games at Wrigley.
Like his power numbers come back. He has like
right? Oh, all the White Sox fans complaining
31
that this guy just hits singles now, and then he just has like a 37 home run season.
God.
Oh,
Do
it, Jay.
Could you imagine
bleachers making the cup snake, and I would be like, "Good for you, Jose." You can't root against the guy.
Well, the beauty of Jose though is he could actually hit a ball through the cup snake and destroy it.
Yeah, see, there you go.
And
like
the other thing
through the second row.
The other thing with Abreu is like, Kevin, we talked about the Jed Hoyer's press conference and whatever any of it means, probably nothing. But he used the word, or he used the phrase intelligent spending again. And it was like, well, short-term deal, front load it. That's intelligent spending. It fits right in. It fits right in.
I mean, the fact that it's leaking out too that he has no intent on going anywhere beyond 5 years for any deal poses an interesting question for another day with this offseason for the Cubs as well. But yeah, I mean, you front load it, you get a team option, you can part ways at the end of the season. If they maybe even do a mutual option, like hell, let both parties.
It has to be
mutually decide if it's a comeback.
It has to be like a 2-year deal, and the second year has to be a mutual option. Like you have to give the player some. I asked Mitch this, and he made a good point because like you have to hear it every day when you're in Chicago. Just sports talk radio, the newspaper, everything you see. What would hurt more for you? Abreu signing within the Sox division or going to the Cubs?
Division.
Okay.
That's honest, though, because you know what? You see him more, and it would hurt more. There's more of a reminder. If you see him on the other side, it would just be me and Aldo showing him to you.
I've said it a billion times, and I'll say it a million more. The Cubs are not rivals to the White Sox.
Not yet. Not until the next division reformat.
Right.
Yep.
Once Vegas gets a team.
Right.
Hell yeah. That's where Abreu is going, to the Las Vegas Rat Pack.
So
I will, you already know it's coming, but I might honestly cry once it's official. I was going through his career, just all the moments he had in Chicago, and we couldn't put a winning team. 7 damn playoff games was all we were able to give him. But all the moments he gave, his first pitch he ever saw as a White Sox, he hit a double, and he didn't stop hitting since.
That's Jose Abreu. That is Jose Abreu to a T.
Yep. I mean, I think favorite Jose Abreu moment, Jose Abreu bobblehead day. It was Dylan Cease's debut, and then it was like a doubleheader, and he hit the walk-off the second game of that doubleheader. That's probably the best day of baseball I think I ever witnessed in person. Watching in that Cub uniform.
Jose Abreu's been so clutch and so consistent for this team year after year after year. I'd have to really sit down and think about my favorite. I can't just go off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, even this year, the must-win game against the Guardians, who had the clutch hit to even extend that? Star closer, Emmanuel Clase, Jose Abreu.
Mm-hmm.
And Aldo and I will be able to kind of guide you through these moments of sadness and of coping. If we had to do it with 3 or 4 of them in the same season, not just one.
Well, Schwarber's 0 for the playoffs this year.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Didn't I was here last year who was he with? Was it with the Red Sox when he didn't do anything in the playoffs?
The wild card game.
Guys like that, though, those 3 outcome guys always seem to have issues in the postseason because you're facing just better pitching. I mean, and better pitching exploits the 3 outcome. It does. And that's when analytics goes out the window, because now the playoffs, the analytics are great over an extended period of 162 games with shitbirds rolled in there. Half those games are against shitty teams, and analytics can be fudged. When you get to the postseason, you throw all that stuff out. You have a guide, you know who your dudes are, and you go with those. And that's what I love about the postseason is analytics are actually harmful most of the time when it comes to the postseason baseball.
Just ask Tampa Bay.
I mean, look at it. Some of these analytic teams, they get there. It's great. Congratulations, Billy Bean. You guys got there. And now you're done. Because teams that actually not being complete. I mean, analytics are important regardless, but they're not slaves to it. Once they have 2 different, there's regular season and then there's postseason, and everything changes in the postseason with how they handle people. Look at the postseason now, how they're handling their pitchers. Is that analytics, or is that someone going, you know what? I'd rather get rid of the stressful innings, lock the door, and shut it down now with some guy that will bridge the gap and keep this lead now, as opposed to simply say, hey, this guy's supposed to throw today, but he needs 4 days rest.
That is analytics.
It's Manalytics, baby.
Wait, Kevin, what you just described is analytics.
No, I'm not done describing.
Taking your closer and putting him in the 7th inning because you're in a tighter game at that point to shut them down. That's not traditional baseball.
That's well.
That is not. Come on, Kevin. That is not.
Whoa!
That
You actually just said something that made me laugh.
Andrew Miller.
Closers and setup men aren't actually original baseball intent. That is not how the game was played up until the 90s. So
it is now. Start that.
Yeah, like closers and relievers was not a thing. Dude, God, Nolan Ryan threw fucking 200 pitches. I mean, come on. But when you have these guys, you go after your outs. But look, when you look at the lineup, that you say, hey, it's the 7th inning. We have a lead, and it's their 3 best dudes coming up to the plate. And I'm going after those guys with my best guy, and I'll let my lesser guys take on their lesser guys. I like that better. That's not analytics. That's just playing matchups, period.
Well, no, but what I'm telling you, Kevin, is you know damn well that wasn't happening until like the last 6-7 years. Because the closers were being saved for safe situations.
I'm not saying
that's just how it was.
That's
I'm not
actually more like
you're right. Like that is the right thing to do.
It's more like high school baseball. They're actually doing it like high school baseball playoffs, which is like you just throw out your best dude to get their best dudes out, and then worry about the rest after. I mean, that's you literally will bring in your best dudes because you're like, okay, there are like 4 dudes in their lineup that can really rake, and then there's like 7, 8, 9, and you're kind of like, come on, bring it on. I mean, because it's not a well balanced team.
I'm 100% agree.
I love that strategy, and
that's not what used to happen in the playoffs until like 2015, 2016. Like Andrew Miller was coming, he was the big closer,
and you get those guys.
Like he was a quote unquote he was the stopper, and he was coming in like the 6th, 7th inning.
It's smart baseball. I mean, you get the bigger outs, and you worry about the lesser dudes later. I mean, it's good, but I don't know. You see these guys, you see how much the postseason is. It is more passion, it's more energy, but you're seeing the best pitchers, guys that have done it all year, and guys like Schwarber. Guys, again, that's what I think hurt the Cubs a little bit too, because I think the Cubs, especially as good as they were, they got to feast on some pretty bad competition. Same with the White Sox last year, or in the last couple of years. They've been in a division that's been pretty bad, and so you can eat, you can feast all year. And the analytics get skewed over the course of 162 because you're playing shittier teams in there. Now the analytics, the numbers in the postseason. Now you're facing dudes. I mean, that's the weird thing about Kershaw. Like Kershaw, look at his numbers in the regular season and look at his postseason numbers. Like, what happens there? Is it because he's getting great matchups in the regular season and he's just carving? It's not. I think he just runs out of gas. Let's be honest. That's probably what's happening to him, or what's happened to him. That's why in 2020 he was so good, because it was a shortened season. This year I expect him to be very good in the postseason. Simply, and I haven't even looked at the score yet, but I expect him to be good because he only threw 127 innings this year or whatever it was. So, that's kind of it's just such a strange. But this is what makes postseason baseball. It's an all bets are off thing, and this is where you start playing the game of chess. At least postseason baseball is actual strategy, which I love.
Speaking about older pitchers, this is like a general question for everybody. After seeing Scherzer kind of run out of gas at the end there, and then Verlander getting touched up real hard against the Mariners in Game 1 of that series, and like those guys are going to be, or not Scherzer, but Verlander's going to be a free agent. He'll opt out, try to get a bigger bag. I think Kershaw can opt out too.
Yep.
Would you trust giving those older pitchers like huge money now?
No.
Oh God, Kershaw got lit.
Oh yeah, playoff Kershaw was in full effect tonight.
Oh shoot.
Only 3 runs.
I feel like
3 runs.
That's how much we're talking.
3 runs.
But he's kind of. I mean, look what he did. He's gonna win the Cy Young. So
yeah, Verlander's the best out of the bunch.
Chunk of change coming his way. So I'm not breaking the bank, but I'd be willing to open up the checkbook a bit.
Like he's gonna get like $30 million a year.
Yeah.
I don't think
like
I
at
do
age
that,
39.
I would do it, but I could.
Good.
If you're in win now mode. You need another guy for like 2 years to solidify the rotation. Then yeah, you can.
Because like I was thinking it from like a Cubs perspective. Like Cubs need like an ace, and like this guy could be it, but like. They could get to like October and you can just like run out of gas. And like Verlander hasn't been all that great in the playoffs either.
Verlander is the pitching equivalent to Jose Abreu. Every single year you expect him to finally fall off.
That's true.
And he does it again. You're like, God dang. So ageless wonders. I love it. Like these are the guys, they figured they just play ball.
Yeah, but then you got to deal with his brother when it comes to town.
Just Passan dealt with him yesterday. Never mind.
I'll be honest, I never had a problem with Ben, but then you see all these people like trash him on Twitter. I guess there was. Did you read the Bob Nightingale article or something? It was something where he went to like Japan or whatever. And all the Japanese people love Ben Verlander. There's some article he was getting trashed over, and I didn't read it, but so a lot of people were referencing it.
No idea what you're talking about.
Other question: for all three of you
I'll
guys.
find this.
Do you view besides Dansby Swanson? I think Yumper said it in the comments. I told Zoe I want the Cubs no part of Dansby Swanson. I'm sorry. Cool. Like re-sign with Atlanta. Cool. Do you view Correa, Turner, and Bogarts as like 1A, 1B, 1C guys? Or do you have a clear distinction? This guy is in this tier. This guy's the next guy, or do you view them all equally?
Are we talking specifically for the Cubs or just in general?
For both, I guess. I mean, for like any team trying to like
for the Cubs, I think
let's do it from a Cubs perspective. Yeah, like
for the Cubs, I think Trey Turner's the goal, just because of the flexibility at position.
Okay.
I feel like Correa, especially that interview he did where he's like, when I want something from the Dior store, I just go in and buy it. That I don't know, he's such a dude.
He's a cocky motherfucker. He is. If I didn't want him on my team, I'd hate him.
He drinks his tea with his pinky out. Let's be honest.
He is a cocky motherfucker.
But Trey Turner,
it's like
Trey Turner is just
so sweet,
crazy consistent. Shows up in October, like
he doesn't. He has this year.
I thought he was good last year.
No, Trey Turner bad before.
I thought he was good last year.
Bad before.
Bad.
Wasn't he good during the World Series run?
Here you go. Postseason batting average. He's got a career 234 postseason average.
Not great.
He's got a 594 OPS in the postseason.
That's not good.
Not great.
No,
Can't use your speed if you're not on base.
Yeah, I thought that was better. I thought he was better than that.
No,
Correa. That's the other part. Correa has notoriously just been clutch always.
His best series was World Series or the NLDS 2016 when the Dodgers lost to the Cubs. In that series, I think he went 7 for 24.
There you go.
But that was it. That's the best he's done in any series, other than 4 at bats in the World Series.
Yeah, I mean, I'm basically when it comes to this, I'm with Brian here. I think it's Trey Turner and then Correa and Xander are tied. Like,
okay.
The biggest thing for me, one is Trey Turner's speed. Can't teach speed, kids.
Sure.
2, his position flexibility. You can play him in the outfield, second base, shortstop, whatever you need to do with him. And, without going down a different fucking rabbit hole, Cubs got a pretty damn good shortstop.
Some might say the best.
Some might say he's one of the top 2 shortstops in Chicago.
So I swear to God, I'll just end this show now. I'm not doing that again. I will 100%.
Pull up the numbers. Pull up the numbers, Kevin.
4.5 WAR. Let's go.
Right, anyway. But Trey Turner's position flexibility. I don't think Xander Bogaerts is leaving Boston. And
he's got a QO attached, doesn't he? So that's another thing that's going to be.
But that's the thing.
I just think Correa is just a massive douche canoe.
Oh, so you'd love him with the Sox,
I know, and Correa's asking for he's probably going to ask for 7 years, right? Or 7 or 8, because he was asking for 9 last year. He's opting out. This is what I look at a Carlos Correa. Now, this is my idea. This is completely off the cuff. But my belief is that if the Cubs go out there again, and because I do think that you lose if Nico is not at shortstop, and either 3 of those guys are at shortstop. The analytics show that Nico's defensively been better, but
for 1 year.
Yeah, and you pay
Carlos Correa.
But here's the thing: this is
2020 was the best defensive shortstop.
Let me finish the thought, though. So you pay him a little bit extra because he's such a good defender on the left side of the infield. At this point in his career, you can throw him at third base if you pay him a convenience fee. He plays third base for 2, maybe 3 years. Then you shift him across the diamond. He can play first base. He's got great hands. He'll be an easy first base transition. And as his body starts fading, you turn him into what's his name? In Detroit, Miggy. And you throw him over at first, or you throw him as a DH the last 2 years of his contract, as he's probably going to gain weight. But those kind of guys, will rake till the end. They will rake till the end, even if they're not playing defense. And so you can make that contract. You pay him a lot more up front. Again, front load all these contracts. Backload it. It's again, he wants out. Make it a tradable contract towards the end if he starts putting out. Pay him for the value that he has up front, and that's the problem with Most of these teams are trying to play these numbers games. Just give these dudes the money when they're going to perform, and let the back end of it be the value of the back end. Pay those guys, drop that salary towards the end, up that salary at the beginning, and go out and win with these guys. And that's what I think. He's going to be a guy that's going to play third or left side for a couple more seasons only, and then he's going to switch to the right side over at first base, and then he's going to end up being a DH. Like, that's where he's headed.
Well,
And
I think that's why you're back. Like, as far as going out and winning with them, I think that's why you're backloading the contract, is so you can supplement them with more supporting pieces. Because, like, you're fine with having the bad. Like, the Angels wouldn't have had as much of a problem with the Albert Pujols contract had they have won what they were supposed to when they first signed him. And then you can live with, like, we're paying them all this money because we got what we want out of them. And then obviously it didn't work out. But, like, that's why I'm fine with, like, backloading it and paying it cheap up front, because especially, like, if you're in the White Sox situation, you're trying to win now. You kind of want to supplement the roster with other things. So
it's just, I mean, Correa's only 28. Give me Carlos Correa. Like, I know you said that he can only maybe play the left side for a couple of years. It's not like he's 30, 31, 32.
Old
He's
Trey
only
Turner.
28.
That's what I'm saying.
Trey
Well, he
Turner.
will be in 2 or 3 years. Like, that's the
Like 30, I think, or 29.
He looks
I
like
think he's a year or
15.
two older than Correa.
Yeah.
No. I think that Turner's fine. I mean, that's a win-win. Let's be honest. It's any one of those guys is a win.
Yes, that's the
oh,
broader
we got Xander Bogaerts. Oh, shucks.
But really, the real truth lies
I'll
in
have that if it's Swanson. I'm like,
if there's even a wrinkle of a chance that the Cubs could actually make a deal with the large prospect pool they now finally have and get Shohei. That's the move of the offseason for the Cubs. That I would. They might not make another move the whole offseason, and I'll be on board again. If they make that trade and they lock him into a contract to keep him around, make it worth the while, that would tell me the Cubs are ready to go. At least I'm good with that, because a team with Shohei, Stroman, with full season from Seiya, and then these guys kind of come. That to me is setting yourself up for a pretty good stretch of 4 or 5 years with those guys. And so that would be a huge. I know it's kind of seems like a pipe dream, but stranger things have happened, man. And that's the move to me that would mean everything. I still don't. I will buy it if the Cubs moving when they actually make a move. I read Tom Ricketts' email about 1,000 freaking times today, and I want to puke every time, because he just keeps stressing every time that he like emphasizes how we need to win with minor league prospects and how we need to win with the health. I want to throw up, because I know what he's alluding to. Every time that Jed says intelligent spending, I know what they're alluding to. And then again, with the stuff coming out that Jed doesn't want to sign go beyond a 5-year deal with anybody. That's a red flag to me. But actions speak louder than words. So I'm going to ignore everything. We said it in the DM. We're going to ignore everything that comes out of Jed's mouth, because it's all bullshit and it's all just media talk. And then we're going to see what actions he makes. And when the first pitch is thrown in spring training, we can make our decision then. We can judge then. But we can't judge it.
Maybe I'm doing some like revisionist history here with like Theo Epstein, but I always felt like when he talked, like obviously he wasn't like, detailing every step that the Cubs were going to do, but you always kind of felt like you kind of knew the plan of the off season, or like the couple year plan. Like with Jed, ever since he took over, it's just like I think Sox fans have said it, like with Han, just like a lot of lawyer talk. It's kind of like none of this actually means anything.
Right.
Kind of like, so all these press conferences, I'm just like, okay,
It's like cool. Like
Cool part
you
about
listen
Theo-
to him talk and you feel comforted. You felt like you're in good hands.
Theo was so, and this is almost, maybe it was a bad idea. Theo was open about like even his draft strategy. Yeah, we're going with mature college bats and we're going to buy pitching. This is the plan. Like we knew the plan. He knew honestly, what it was in year 2 or 3 or whatever it was.
Honestly, the biggest part was like ever since like when he took over and like the Cubs were just like had no good infrastructure for anything developing wise, and he was like, yeah, like we're gonna suck for a couple of years. Like he didn't obviously say those exact words, but like he basically said, yeah guys, we're not going to be, our focus isn't really winning at the MLB level for these couple of years. And ever since then, you're like, all right, he didn't lie to our face. He's kind of telling us what they're going to do.
I'll give Jed the benefit of the doubt though. Theo didn't have to sell off 3 All-Stars and another guy that's eventually going to hit 40 home runs for nothing. Like he didn't have to do that. So he was able to take over a broken franchise that was, Kevin, or who was their third baseman when he took over, for God's sakes. Like look at the roster.
What was his name?
First year. Some of those names are incredible.
Ian Stewart.
Who was the one guy that played for the Sox too? He was like Ott or something.
Oh yeah, Mike Olt.
Olt. Yep.
Like this is the weird part. The Cubs have gone the quarterback position for the Chicago Bears and the third base spot for the Chicago Cubs are basically the same thing. decades and decades of basically nothing except for maybe 2 or 3 guys in this case. See, Epstein took over in October of 2011. So let's look at the 2012 of the roster.
It was horrid.
Let's look at this thing. All right, so catchers, you had Wellington Castillo,
Stud.
Sox legend.
Giovanni Soto. That wasn't too
Another
bad.
Sox legend. All right.
Jeff Baker, Darwin Barney, Starlin Castro, Blake DeWitt, Brian LaHare, and then they got Rizzo in the offseason. Josh Vitters popping up.
Another guy that was
Marlon Byrd, Tony Campana, David DeJesus, Brett Jackson, another prospect that everyone was all over that never really panned out. So let's be careful with prospecting. Joe Mather, and then Alfonso Soriano in his Albatross contract. Travis Wood, Kerry Wood, Randy Wells, Chris Volstad. Let's look at Carlos Marmol was there. Matt Garza.
man.
Oh my god!
I thought he was going to be so good.
Oh, I know. Michael Bowden, he had 2 different numbers. He was 43 and then 28 when he came back. Just crazy. Ryan Dempster. Hey, the best Harry Carey that annoys me. And then, of course, Paul Maholm. Paul.
You were running through that roster, and this name randomly popped up to me.
Hoy Hill.
For the Sox, if the Sox get Josh Bell, is that a thing? Would you guys be happy about that?
If they don't re-sign Abreu and they get Josh Bell to solve their problem with too many first basemen, good guy.
Why add more first basemen to?
He can play right field.
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't want first baseman in the outfield anymore.
No,
Like, that's
he's
the whole
an
point.
outfield. He used to play outfielder with the Pirates
I'm good though.
like 5 years
good.
ago.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm very good. No more.
Joe
DHs,
likes his guys to stay at their spot.
No
and
first
stop moving around.
baseman. Yeah, I don't. Andrew Vaughn, you've never played outfield a day in your life. You're gonna start playing it in the major leagues.
Well, don't you want guys that have actually done it then?
You're no pressure.
Yeah. Gavin Sheets. Yeah, you can play outfield, right? Sure, bud.
This offseason is going to be pretty crazy. I mean, White Sox have got to make moves, obviously, too. So this is just without when, especially with Abreu. If Abreu's gone, they're gonna.
Have you guys accepted that? Because he's gone. He's not.
Yeah,
Rick
I think I'm
going to do it.
What are
again.
like the steps of like acceptance?
The
Or, like,
grief.
Grief.
Stages of grief?
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. What is it?
Yeah.
See where we're at. I'm gonna look at the chart.
I'm
Where are you
past
at?
anger.
Oh, that's from Jesus Our Lord Shepherd Church. Okay, here we go. Stages of grief. It's denial,
Went through that.
processing loss that brings about various emotions and can be difficult to accept.
Yeah.
Went through that.
Number 2 then
That's
is
Mitch right now.
Yeah.
anger, which shows up in many forms like rage, outburst, zulking, extreme sadness, and
That's
isolation.
gonna come. That's gonna come.
That was kind of me like last week. I was
That's
pretty,
gonna
Yeah,
come
I-
when Rick Hahn talks again, and he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna part ways with."
I feel like I've
Hold
gone
on,
through the
Dave.
anger already.
it's tough, but we got Gavin Sheets, and we just picked the phone to call Josh Bell, and we think
Trey Turner, big error.
Number 3 is bargaining, a way to try to postpone what's inevitable. Like, oh no.
I think I'm there.
I've done
Okay,
that.
I'm there.
You are here. Fourth one's the rough one, though. Fourth one is the heaviness. It's depression. It's a heaviness and deep sadness after experiencing a loss. That probably comes after.
I'm a mix of those
signs.
two. I'm like a mix of those two right now. Bargaining, like, oh, maybe they offer him 1 year, 15 mil, 16 mil.
I also think the bargaining is like, oh, this is the right move. Like we have too many first basemen. This is the right baseball move. I've seen a lot of that.
But when you get to the back end of it, you get to number 5, which is acceptance. A place where people may not experience emotions, but it's a place of accepting the inevitable and that final resting place
I'll
of
tell you what,
Jose Abreu signing with the Chicago Cubs.
the depression, sadness part is gonna be where I'm stuck for a while until like maybe the All-Star break.
Like it's gonna hit you when he wears the uniform of like the other team for the first time, like in spring training.
Yeah, like
it's gonna be everyone's gonna be like,
first time I
this is
see him
weird.
the first time I see him in a Marlins jersey, I'm gonna be like, this is fucking really.
Or
strange.
he does something that's so Pito. Like he does something that like you've seen him do so many times, like a gesture or like after a home run or like a jersey pull or that chain pops out and like while he's
where he's like running first base.
Yeah. Or he does the thing where he screams rounding third base, trying to
that's
Do
gonna
you
hurt.
think Jose Abreu will ever say anything negative about the Sox?
No,
No.
Okay.
I don't. He like
He's a class
I know,
act.
like-
He ain't gonna say anything negative about anyone.
and I also know like guys say it like, "Oh, I love it here." So no, like Jose Abreu, like literally loves the South Side of Chicago. Like he actually loves this team. He actually loves like he defected from Cuba and have struggled to get here, and the White Sox helped him with that. And then, like, yeah.
Did we ever fear Chris Bryant to the White Sox? No.
No one
I
did.
didn't.
No, I mean, we talked about it just to talk about it, but I don't think anyone ever thought it was actually going to happen.
Again, the White Sox biggest free agent contract was to Yasmani Grandal.
Contract is short.
Yep, 4-3 after Trey Turner fucked up a pretty routine ground ball.
It's why you want Carlos Correa. No, I was kidding.
And now
shortstop.
Oh, that was a very White Sox. Oh, Myers just got thrown out at home.
Oh,
they tried to squeeze, and it was just not good.
Trey Turner just bringing down his price. Jed Hoyer is going to bring up that air and be like, yeah, like second base. You're getting second base money, Trey.
You're getting second base money now, Trey. Was this a squeeze? I just saw the end result. I didn't see how it got there. Hold on. Show me the replay. Yep. There's a... Well, no, that's bad base running. He took off late. Good play by the pitcher. Nailed it home.
You guys talked about the Untouchables, like whatever that report was with Cease on. Is there any move that would surprise you, even if it happened? Or like if it happened?
Luis Robert or Eloy getting moved.
Okay.
That would be a kind of a gut punch.
That would surprise me a great deal. I mean, I've been saying my first two moves is I'm trading Liam Hendricks and Gavin Sheets.
I honestly don't think Hendricks is getting dealt. It wouldn't surprise me, but
I'll see more conversations about that. That seems bad.
Why?
Then you don't. Who's your proven closer?
You got a couple guys you can throw out there.
You got Crochet coming back, healthy as a horse.
Crochet.
I mean, Kendrick Raven would be the next guy up. You don't trust him at all, so
no.
Joe Kelly.
My horse is Raylo. I think Raylo should be the closer.
It'd be great if Raylo, though.
That's a lot of confidence.
You know, Craig Kimbrell's going to be a free agent.
Craig, I'm saying this right now.
Aldo, yeah, go with it because you said it in the chat. Let's drop the bomb.
October.
Future
12th.
White Sox Cody Bellinger just made a hell of a catch.
He's a Cub.
Future White Sox.
Who's not a Cub?
Yeah, everyone's a Cub.
Everyone's a Cub, Mitch. I'm positive.
Yeah, I forgot that Jed is known for his reckless spending.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's the thing. Cody Bellinger, prove it deal.
Oh, wherever Cody signs next year is a prove it deal.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That 1 year, $20 million.
But
that's probably. I mean, he's not going to get $20 million. What was I going to say?
Yeah, I don't know. He's excelled in the playoffs. Some sucker might give him $20 million.
I mean,
what were we just talking about? Oh,
we're talking about how Raylo should be the closer.
Craig Kimbrell. The Cubs are going to re-sign Craig Kimbrell in the offseason. He will be
good Kimbrell
all-star closer next summer with the Cubs.
He'd be cheap.
Yep. He's going to be cheap. Cubs are going to win that trade with Craig Kimbrell coming back.
I mean, they've done such a great job. I mean, whatever you say about the Cubs, I got to actually, this made me want the Dodgers to lose because my buddy's a Dodger fan. He's one of my best friends, and he's just so arrogantly proud right now. And he made all these comments, and I said something. I'm like, it's great. I'm really happy with the way the Cubs have been developing their pitching over the last year and a half. And he's like, yeah, it really worked out well for them. The Dodgers are the ones that do the development. I'm like, all right, dick. And I pulled up the numbers. In the second half of the season, the Cubs starting rotation was better than the Dodgers, only behind the Astros, statistically number-wise, as a staff. And the Cubs' development of pitching has been absolutely fantastic over the last year and a half. After they started moving away from what they had, and they brought in some of those, the Cleveland people. I think they have that exclusive deal now with that pitch machine thing too now, right? I can't remember what I was reading about it. It's an exclusive.
Yeah, they have their fancy robot.
Yeah, like the little fancy robot. That's I think it's the robot from Rocky IV. So they've got so they're doing such a great job with this. You're right. If they bring in someone like Kimbrell, I mean, they brought in a lot worse than they've had success.
I mean, they had David Robertson, who was coming off injury. Like, he pitched 12 innings in the past 3 years or something.
And somehow find a way to fix him.
Fixed him. Or not even fixed him. They just, found some tweak, made him a good trade piece in the summer. Got a legit pitching prospect for him. Chris Martin, who is the closer for the Dodgers right now. I mean, that wasn't that special of a trade, but that was another guy, veteran guy. Flip.
So I know we said we were going to do it tonight, but we'll do it next week. How to navigate Twitter during the off season. But for now, it is time.
Oh, fuck. That's the ball.
For the NASCAR Minute with NASCAR Mitch.
Where do I even start?
I don't even know, bud.
Yeah, well, talk about having a bad week. So it was an elimination race. It was at the Charlotte Roval. The Roval's kind of like it's like a Frankenstein of race courses. The half oval, half road course.
Oh,
Roval.
Mixing it up. It's like a brookie, right? It's like a brownie and a cookie, except it's NASCAR.
Exactly. So my guy, Daniel Suarez, he was, he's a couple points to the good, and he's very good in road courses. Third fastest car on the field all day. And Daniel Suarez is really just the people's champion when you think about it. He's not one of these silver spoon kids that got a ride because of daddy's money. Ty Gibbs. Mr. Suarez, he had to come from Mexico, first Mexican driver to win a Cup Series race. His dad had to sell a shop, barely knew English when he first got over. He was eating Cocoa Crisp, he said, for like a week.
This is your guy, though, right? Like,
it's my guy, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He's only eating Cocoa Crisp for a week.
No, when he first moved, he was saying that he was in this apartment and he could barely afford actual food and silverware. So he's just getting these plastic bowls and he's eating cereal for 3 meals a day to support his racing career. But anyway, made it to the top against all odds. Now he's in the playoffs, about to advance to the round of 8. So he qualified third. And I'm only talking about him right now just because the first 2 stages of this race sucked ass. It was so boring. No one could pass. It was just, So anyway, so he finishes third in the first stage, gets a bunch of stage points. He gets a bunch of stage points in stage 2, finishes 7th, cycles through. So he's up by 14. It looks like he's going to transfer through. We're like, all right, things are going well. And then, of course, his steering stops working. All the fluid in the steering, breaks his power steering. So he's kind of it looked brutal. His arms were tired by the end of it because he's trying to get this thing to go, and he lost all of his pace. And so the only thing that couldn't happen to him happened because, like I said, it was hard to pass. So the only way he could lose.
Wait. What was he doing with his arms?
So he's trying to get because the power steering's gone. So he's kind of sawing back and forth just to try and keep it on the track, around the turns and the banking. No.
Is it up and down or sideways? Which one? Up or is he skiing?
It would be absolutely horrible if someone clipped that and put 2 gigantic hogs in your hand. But go ahead.
Yeah. So he's either skiing or he's sipping. You got ski, sip.
So anyway, he loses all of his spots, goes to the back of the field. He ends up getting lapped. And so that's where our douche canoe of the week comes in.
Woo, I like your segment alert.
Yeah. Well, Corey LaJoie here. Now, it gets me. It's like being betrayed by someone that you've never met. You thought you knew him, even though you never met him before, and he just turns out to stab you in the back. He's a likable personality. Corey LaJoie is everyone likes Corey. He's like the Cubs before they got Theo. He's a lovable loser. He's always running in the back, but he tries his best. He's got a kickball tournament for charity. He's got a good podcast. He's a down-to-earth guy. Everyone loves Corey LaJoie. I like Corey LaJoie. Then all of a sudden, this dick who shows his true colors really this week. So Suarez is running in the back. He's trying to get past the guy who's holding up everyone because he runs 30th each week in his crappy equipment, but he's always crying poor. He's like, well, I don't have the car because no good talent wants to give him a ride from the actual teams. So he's holding up Suarez the entire time. Suarez can't get past. And so then after his steering breaks, later, Suarez can't really control his car. So he hit him. And his spotters told LaJoie's spotter, hey, look, his steering's barely working. He doesn't have a whole lot of control of his car. Well, what is Corey LaJoie? He doesn't care. So he goes back around the track and he's going into pit. But then he sees that Suarez is still up ahead of him. And he's like, I'm going to have a fiesta here, boys. And so he speeds up. And then he rams into Suarez, runs him off the track. And he's like, take that. So after the race now, Suarez is all pissed off because he just ran into him basically twice. Effectively, even though they told him his steering wasn't working. So it was actually kind of a comical scene. After the race, Suarez came up to him and he's basically what the hell, man? And the two are arguing, and then this little kid comes running up in the middle of the argument. It's hey, can you get your autograph? Does he want Corey LaJoie's autograph? No. Why would you want a national podcaster who cup cars on Sundays. That's basically what Corey LaJoy is at this point. He wants Suarez's autograph, so Suarez stopped in the middle of the autograph to sign it because, people's champion, and then continues arguing with Corey LaJoy. So I thought that was kind of funny, but it's very disappointing because I like Corey LaJoy too, and he's ramming into my guy, he's talking about having Fiesta. It was just very sickening, the whole ordeal. All right, now let's get to the actual racing itself. I know that was tough. 6 laps to go. Like I said, the race kind of stunk. Chase Elliott is running away with this snooze fest of a race. And then all of a sudden, we get saved because a betting sign that was sponsoring the race flew onto the track. And they had it on the side. Just somehow it ended up on the track. Don't know how. So that's why they throw the caution. So this betting site that I don't even know what it's for, but, they can use my services anytime because they stopped Chase Elliott from winning. Caution comes out. They stack him back up. So this is significant because Christopher Bell, he's in the 20 car. He needs a win to advance in the playoffs. He doesn't have enough points. The only way he can make it to the next round is if he wins this race. Got to clutch up. So he was back down in 14th, and they told him to get 4 new tires because fuck it. We got nothing to lose. We need fresh tires. Caution comes out, and all of a sudden they're stacked back up. Everyone's back together. He's like, oh, now we got a chance. So they get everyone in order, stack them back up. Middle of the pack is Austin Cindric, too. He's also out of the race, below the cut line. He needs some points to get back above the cut line and advance the next round. So they drop the rag, green flag's going, 6 laps to go. Cindric doesn't even try and make the turn. He just starts barreling people, knocks over 6 cars trying to make the turn. Meanwhile, back up in front, Chase Elliott, he's on the front row with AJ Allmendinger. So Allmendinger, he's the road course ringer. He only runs on road courses.
His name is Allmendinger?
Yeah, AJ Allmendinger.
You're making up names.
No, it's yeah. AJ Allmendinger, another story in himself. Like AJ Allmendinger, he's a good guy too. Underdog. He only runs on the road courses. He's not a playoff driver, but he's like, you know what? Screw it. I'm here to win. So he starts running Chase off the track. He gets in there and starts muscling off the jump. Basically runs him off the track. He takes the lead. He's like, haha, take that. I'm winning this road course. And then all of a sudden, Kevin Harvick is like, hey, anything you can do, I can do better. So after Elliott comes off the track, he sees a hole. He comes in, knocks Dinger off the track. Now Harvick's in the lead. But then all of a sudden, here comes Chris Bell. He's got the fresh tires. He starts picking off people. He's working his way all the way up to second with 2 laps to go. So he's trying to run down Harvick. Harvick's up by just over a second, but he's got the fresh tire. So all of a sudden, now this race has been really boring. This is going to be an interesting ending. Can Bell run him down, make the pass, save his playoff chances and his season? So it's going to be exciting. Then what happens? We get another caution that stacks him back up. So all that drama gets ruined because some scrub in the back, Ty Dillon, he spun, couldn't get his car started. So now they're stacking him back up again. So Bell with the fresh tires, back on the restart with our Busch Light boy, Kevin Harvick. He doesn't have fresh tires. So off the restart, he gets blown off the pack. Bell gets the lead. He starts running away with it. So now the back of the field's where it's getting interesting because Chase Briscoe, he's below the cut line too. So is Austin Cindric. So, Briscoe needs some points. So Cindric, he tries to make a power move, but Eric Jones, he's blocking him. He's like, nope, not going to happen. Spins Cindric because Cindric, he was too aggressive earlier. Cindric spins, his playoff chances effectively killed. So now it's down to Briscoe, but he sucks. So he needs all the help he can get. So his teammate, Cole Custer, who also sucks, he's just kind of running out there for the advertisement, but he's not in the playoffs. He's like, I got you, buddy. So he slows down. He starts blocking all these cars, basically causing a traffic jam. So his buddy Briscoe can pass all the cars, get his playoff spot, and then the race ends. Bell gets his win. Briscoe slides into the playoffs. His team got fined for that little stunt that Cole Custer threw, because I guess you're not supposed to intentionally hold up traffic for your teammate, and he said it over the radio. So NASCAR's like, yeah, that's not happening. He got in trouble, but they're like, I don't care. My teammate got into the playoffs. We'll happily pay the $100,000 fine. And that is a very long NASCAR minute. That was good. That was a venting session for me because no one wants to talk about NASCAR around here. I had to get the Corey LaJoy stuff off my chest. Everyone likes Corey. I like Corey. I felt betrayed.
There was a lot going on there.
Yeah, there was a lot going on. It was a wild race
going on there.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you've gotten to the point where we don't know what the fuck you're talking about, so you just make up names to You're like, yeah, and then Jimmy McFeeler was up there, and he's taking 6 laps, and blah.
I mean, AJ Allmendinger is top 5 name.
He used to run for Red Bull Racing, who's no longer in NASCAR. His car stunk every week. He was getting frustrated. Then he had a cocaine addiction, so he was out of the sport for a while. Now he's back. He's running in the Xfinity series, which is kind of like the part-time series. He got his life cleaned up. Now he's clean. AJ,
Why is cocaine a problem with NASCAR? I mean, you're driving fast. I mean,
I don't know. But so Dinger, he won the Xfinity race on Saturday, which is like the AAA of NASCAR. And so he was doing double duty on the weekend, and he almost won the other one. Yeah. I wish there's a 69 car. There's not.
Tiffany McFingerbang in the 69 car from our boy Brian with his hammer.
So the guy who drove for Red Bull got busted for coke.
Yes. Well, basically.
It's a Pepsi product at Mountain.
That's like over 10 years ago.
Monster's a Coke product.
If you go to Andy's, Custer, I don't know if it's still there, but for a while, because the race in Texas was sponsored by Andy's, the Xfinity race, they gave him his own, and he was running an Andy's custard car. He had his own flavor of ice cream. You could get the AJ Allmendinger at an Andy's. He had his own sundae. Yep, that's him. It was like he stepped on a Lego every time he wins.
Before I forget, by the way, Aldo, what's on your hat? What does that say? I see something. It looks like someone with your last name on it. Let's say Fresas Sodos Rancho Los Ocales. Strawberries, huh?
Strawberry Farm.
Nice.
Get me one of those hats. I will wear the shit out of that hat.
All right, I'll try to find one.
I like that hat. I mean, I try to throw you off, Mitch. I had a little Bodie in there.
Oh. Rest in peace.
Well, I was trying to find all the drivers as soon I got this guy.
Yeah. Which
your boy Suarez.
Corey LaJoie, I still do like Corey. He's like your favorite NASCAR's driver, or like his favorite driver is Corey LaJoie. He's that guy. No, that's Chase Elliott. He sucks.
Who's this guy?
Bubba Wallace.
Bubba
Wallace, his crew chief is named Booty Barker, which I always think is funny. Booty Barker and Bubba Wallace.
Fake names, dude.
Who's that guy?
Kyle Busch.
That's Kyle Busch. Who's
Ross Chastain? He made it to round of 8. Watermelon farmer in the offseason, Ross Chastain.
Who's that guy?
That's not a NASCAR driver. It's very Bell Cookie. That's Tiffany McFingerbang in the 69 car right there.
Who's that guy?
Not a driver.
Okay. Who's that guy? Oh, wait, sorry.
All right. This is really good for the people listening. Yeah.
Use your imagination.
So for Fizz, Mitch, although I'm Zoe, hopefully these playoffs continue to be as eventful they are. This Padres-Dodgers game is getting pretty good. So I'm going to go drink about 4 more beers and watch this. So we will talk to you guys next week. And of course, if anything pops off, like if the White Sox randomly hire a manager or something like that, we'll jump on an emergency cast. But I think we're good for a little bit. But take care, everybody.